Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our kickoff of our College 101 series. I will be your host this evening. I am Anthony Cook. I am the coordinator of College and Career Services for the School District of Osceola County. This is a series of 4 topics that we're going to be covering, as you can see tonight. This is specifically for our adults. I won't get into the specifics because I have some experts on here that know way more about this topic than I do, and I will pass that off to them in just a little bit. But before we do that, I want to get into some housekeeping items with everybody. We would be remiss if we did not thank all of our partners who help put this together, from school districts to organizations within our state. You can see them on your screen. FCAN, Broward, the School District of Osceola County, Polk County, Take Stock in Children, TRIO. Without our partners, we would not be able to put this together for you all. So we want to make sure that we give a proper shout out to all of our partners. Next, we want to talk about how tonight's going to work. So there will be presenters on. We want to make sure that they have the time and the floor to be able to get through what they need to get through. So what's happening in the background, we got people that are fielding your questions. So we want to encourage you to type your questions in the Q&A box. And then we will have some time towards the end of the presentation to answer questions live and or to answer questions that we saw come up that were regularly asked. We want to make sure that we address those to everybody, because if there's 200 people on and 20 people ask the same question, probably the other 180 got the same question. So we will address those towards the end of tonight's presentation. And then lastly, we want to let you know, for all of you that are hearing impaired, we do have live closed captioning available for you. If you'll select the CC logo at the bottom of your right screen. And for those of you that, English is not your primary language and you do speak a different language, you may want to be able to read that closed captioning as well as we're presenting. That way you can connect a little bit better. So we want to make sure that you know that that is an option for you. Now, we got housekeeping out of the way. Let me introduce who our speakers are going to be, and then I'm going to give them the floor. First up, we have Louis Dilbert, who is at TRIO, the Education Opportunity Center at FAMU. Then we have the lovely Donella Clark, who is the Program Director of Education Opportunity Center at Indian River State College. And then my man with the baby dreads, that's what we're going to call him, Oliver Sapp. He's over at TRIO, the Education Opportunity Center at FAMU as well. These are going to be our presenters formally this evening. So with no further ado, we're going to pass it off to Louis. Louis, go ahead and take us home.
All righty. I'll share my screen with you all. Definitely thank you guys for joining us today. I hope everyone can see our screen. Anthony, give me a thumbs up. We good? Okay. So we're glad to be able to present to you all today on the topic of pathways for success for adult learners. It was very important for us to be a part of this. Just a brief introduction of what the EOC is. The TRIO Educational Opportunity Center is a college access program that helps adult learners who are wanting to return to school to pursue a GED, a bachelor's degree, or an associate in arts degree. So if you are in any of those categories, we can definitely serve you. So definitely look up to see if there's an EOC program in your area. We are all connected to the colleges and universities throughout the state, from Pensacola all the way down to Miami-Dade. And so again, you're bound to find a TRIO program that services your area. We'll be glad to connect you if you'd like to at the end of this presentation. But I have my colleagues here from throughout the state who are going to talk to you today. We're going to share with you a bit of information about how you, as a adult learner who may have stopped out of high school to take care of a family or to join the military, or may have been going to school and stopped for whatever reason, stop your education and want to go back. We really pride ourselves in helping hundreds, tens of thousands of individuals since this program was started in 1972 to be able to finish their education, whether it's a high school diploma or some type of post-secondary degree or certificate as well. So without further ado, I'll let Ms. Clark begin the presentation.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you all for welcoming us into your homes and your lives at this particular moment. I just want to salute Anthony Cook and the team, Ashley, who provided us with this opportunity to come out and talk to you all. So, we want to move to the common challenges or the common reasons why adults leave school. And it's something, whether it's to support the family on a full-time basis, to start working, maybe the learning environment doesn't align with what you're currently doing. It may be a challenge for you, barely graduating high school or obtaining a GED. It could be something as small as that prevents you from taking that next step. Also, the schools or in the communities might not be adequate for your needs. If you're challenged with different abilities as opposed to disabilities, there's some locations that don't accommodate or don't provide accommodations as well as they should for folks who require additional needs. And sometimes it's just a lack of motivation. You might have graduated high school and, as I said earlier, want to move into working and bringing in some money. And, it might be a challenge for you to think about returning to school and giving it another shot. Also, as Louis mentioned, military service. There's folks who might have entered the military and an adventure of a lifetime while in the military, but, didn't have the ability to return to school. Our programs, the TRIO programs, welcome all of these individuals with open arms and provide you with opportunities to step back into school, and we provide that caring and that soft entry into the education sphere. You might not be familiar with the campuses near your homes or the virtual settings that are now being offered due to COVID, but we are here as a team to make sure that folks are ready, willing, and able, and have that support that's required. Again, who is considered an adult learner? That would be anybody over the age of 18, either pursuing a GED, who could have a high school diploma and is seeking post-secondary education at a post-secondary institution, whether it's a 2 to 4 year program or vocational schools. Someone that is enrolled in high school or post-secondary institutions who might have stopped out. So we are basically open and ready to accept folks wherever they are in life. If they are choosing to return to school for whatever purposes, we're willing to open our arms and welcome them and provide them with the tools that they need to be successful. So our next slide refers to the common barriers of re-enrollment. As I said, some students feel like it might be too late for them to start again. Never too late. I'm a lifelong learner. Completed my master's in 2019. That's, the story of our life. Sometimes we have to take care of family, sometimes we have to work, and sometimes the challenges of doing both can prevent us from returning to school. So, and the other thing is limited financial resources. We may not have the capital to return to school. The monies, the time and the money is the two biggest barriers that stop folks from returning. And it's also the options that we might have. You don't know what you want to do. You don't know how to pursue your next steps. The TRIO programs across the state of Florida provide clear understanding and career sources, career access services that will help folks obtain the knowledge that they need and the tools that they need to step into an institution, whether it's virtually or physically. And we also get the time constraints. We get the challenges of family obligation, job demands. We are basically providing opportunities to move forward, take those next steps, whether it's on a Saturday or in the evening, whatever time that you are available, we tend to want to lean into that so that you can be successful. It's very challenging. I'm never going to say to you all that it's the easiest thing that you can do, but if you have a goal and you have a really great support system, and that could be from Lewis to our colleagues across the TRIO programs that will help you to realize those goals. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague from FAMU, Mr. Sapp.
Oliver, you gotta unmute yourself. It's okay, man. It's that mic up in the top right-hand corner next to the red button. Oh, actually, you might have to give him some access. Maybe something happened.
Or if I can continue, if Oliver's having a challenge, I can step in.
Yeah, go ahead for the next slide.
Okay, so where can you start, or where do we get started? It's with the GED. We provide contact with local adult education centers, the school district, the Department of Education. We move forward whatever classes that you've had in high school and you'd like to finish up. Perhaps we are available to assist you with the transition with your high school records to, getting those GED credits and starting and sitting for the GED. There's multiple parts of it. So we at Indian River State College can provide you with adult ed programs that transition you from your GED into higher ed. Also, there are community-based programs where there might be some stipends or some payments available to provide you with assistance with paying for the GED. So please don't use that as a barrier or believe that that's a barrier to entry in terms of your education. If you're willing to take that step, the TRIO programs will find money to assist you with to reaching your goals. And obviously, share your goals with your family. Devise a plan for support. I had a great source of support with my family. As I shared with Lewis and Oliver earlier, when my son was 8 months old, I returned to grad school to continue. What my path is different from everybody else's path. We're all individuals, but the reality is that you lean on your village in order to obtain support. And when folks see that you have a goal in mind and you've devised a way to make it happen, they're more than willing to help you. A lot of the TRIO programs, especially ours at IRSC, provides childcare, provides money for parents to return to school. So those are options that you can exercise that you might want to step into and just inquire about. Just ask the question. Open yourself up from the respect of just asking the question and seeing if the service is available. There's been a great decrease in enrollment in schools over the past 2 years due to COVID and other challenges, and we're hoping to turn that around. Adults who are returning to school, where can you start? Let's consider online versus the brick and mortar in terms of returning to physical school, coming into a classroom. As I said earlier, there might be some challenges for the differently able people. For folks who are not necessarily interested in returning to school physically, there's the online option. There's smaller classes versus larger classes. You get more hands-on attention. You're able to turn in your assignments via a portal on the internet. You're not having to come out to the school. So those are some of the options that are available right now. You can speak to admissions counselors, whether that's in person or they can, text, and you can have a virtual conversation with some advisors. They can be really helpful, especially at IRSC. We provide great feedback for our students and our potential students. If you check in, someone's going to call you back. Someone's going to respond. And assess your availability. What works best for you? Are you working a 7 to 3 shift? Are you working 8 to 5? Are you working 11 to 7? Like what works best for you? Look into financial aid. Try some of the scholarship opportunities that the state of Florida offers, that the federal government offers. Fill out a FAFSA. If you were in the military, there should be military benefits that will support a return to school. We all have veterans offices at our campus that are campuses that provide great detail and lots of support for veterans. Also, again, share those goals with the family, devise a plan. There's resources in our schools that we are more than willing to share with newly enrolled students and adult learners.
All right, Danella, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sapp, are you back on? You might.
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll let you get the next slide if you want to take that.
Okay. So what are some of the factors that influence your college of choice? Some of those things might be the GPA. What does it take to get into that school, that grade point average? The location. Are you going to be nearby family? Will you have that support, that network of support with family and or friends? What are your career goals? Is it a location that's going to place you in an area that's going to be fast growing with a particular industry? And then what are some of your extracurricular activities? So these are some of the things, and you want to look also at your college size. Is it going to have a small student body? What is the teacher to student ratio? And what are the costs of that, that particular institution? So some of the things that, go ahead, Mr. Dilbert.
Oh, you can.
Okay. Okay, some of the things that we also want to do here with the TRIO Education Opportunity Centers that we work with our participants is we work to help you prepare to complete that FAFSA. That FAFSA is going to be very important. It's going to be the cornerstone of your federal aid. So that's going to be that free application for federal student aid. So we want to also make sure that you're aware of the cost of attendance. Again, that's going to be one of the key factors when selecting your institution of choice. What is the cost to attend that university or that college or that technical school? Getting that FSA ID, that Federal Student Aid ID, that's going to be key in completing that FAFSA. That's going to be serving as your signature. Have your tax returns ready for that particular tax year, 2020. Apply for scholarships. There are lots of dollars that go unclaimed, and so you can look in terms of scholarships both at the institution. The financial aid office is a great area to look at, the scholarship listing page. Also, many colleges and universities have foundations. You can also look at local organizations such as, civic organizations, churches, to name a few.
All right, thank y'all. I'll go ahead and take over from here. So we said a lot today, everyone, and I know you have questions, but let me just again recap why we're here today. We're here because you as an adult learner have, or you know somebody who's an adult learner who has some interest in returning to school. And so we always tell our students here who come through our program at FAMU TRIO EOC, there are many reasons for you to go back to school, right? But and we can always replace college with pursuing an adult education degree or pursuing a certificate, because sometimes it's just not about going to get a bachelor's or an associate's degree, associate of arts degree, but you may find yourself skilled in in truck driving or cosmetology. Our programs help anyone who is trying to pursue some type of post-secondary, meaning after high school education. So 10 reasons to go to college or to continue your education. You want to improve your earning potential. You probably heard it before. You're likely to make $1 million more in your lifetime if you have a college degree or some type of post-secondary education. And so wish you could get the $1 million all at one time, but it's spread out over time. But your potential is much higher. Sometimes you just want to upgrade your skills. That's why a lot of people go and get a certificate, because they're not trying to get a degree per se, but they're in a particular trade and they need to get additional training. So they go and they get a certificate, so that their purpose is not necessarily just to earn a bachelor's degree, but to get certified in a particular area. We all have dreams. You know, I dream of being the first PhD in my entire family, so I'm pursuing a doctoral degree. So some people dream of being the first in their family to have a high school diploma. And so there are different people have different circumstances. Whatever your dream is, you can fulfill that if you take the right steps. Prepare for a satisfying career. I tell people I am blessed to never have not wanted to go to work. But I know others who don't want to go to their job and don't like it. And I never want to know what that feeling is like. So if you want a fulfilling and satisfying career, then pursuing the proper education is key. And sometimes you just got to do it for yourself, not for anybody else, but primarily for yourself. But you definitely want to do it for yourself. And be a role model for your peers and for your children. So again, so they have somebody to look up to. Again, particularly our programs in TRIO, we serve a lot of first generation college students, meaning that none of their parents earned a bachelor's degree. And so you can be that role model. Finish what you started. For those of you who may have stopped out of high school or stopped out of college, you can go back and finish. Complete a job requirement, as I said earlier, for a particular certificate. Personal fulfillment, personal enrichment, and basically expanding your horizons, because we should all be committed to being lifelong learners. And lastly, college isn't for everyone, but it's probably for you. So think about it. You know, if you're that person that's out there that is like, I don't know, a lot of times there are barriers that we talked about earlier that people place in their minds that tell them that it's going to be too hard, particularly in the financial piece. I was at a conference yesterday, the last couple of days in Tennessee, and someone told me, who was presenting, said in the state of Tennessee, $4.7 million of financial aid went unaccounted for in 2021. So that's a lot of money that people are just leaving on the table. You ever heard, don't leave money on the table? Don't leave money on the table. And so there's opportunities for you to be able to go to school. You may not be able to go full time, but you might be able to go part time. And slow and steady wins the race sometimes. And so again, whatever barrier you put in your mind, it really behooves you to talk to an admissions counselor. Like you said, we have EOC TRIO programs all over the state. And if you are a veteran who is wanting to go back to school, we have a program called Veterans Upper Bound in some cities throughout the state that can help you as well if you're not part of an EOC program. And so, again, the sky is the limit, and we're just grateful to be here to talk to you all about continue your education, pursue your dreams, or give you information to pass on to someone else, whether it be a spouse, a child, or another relative or friend, etc. So at this time, I'm sure you guys are bustling with questions. We'll stop sharing my screen and we'll answer whatever questions you have.
Okay, buckle up, you three. We got loads of questions I'm about to swing your way, okay? Let's start at the very beginning. So all of y'all mentioned TRIO, Education Opportunity Center. So I'm an adult that's on here tonight, and I hear Education Opportunity Center, they help adults get back into post-secondary education. What specific assistance do you provide to me as an adult that's looking to reconnect with some post-secondary education?
Well, I will say this, and I'll let my colleagues chime in. Primarily, we are charged with a certain percentage of our participants have to finish their high school diploma or earn a GED. So that's one. So how do we do that? We can pay for the GED test. We can provide GED support materials for you to study for the GED test. In some cases, we can pay, I've heard different programs that pay college application fees. Some people, it's sometimes easier to do that in certain for certain schools. We don't recruit for any particular institution, so we or any adult education center per se. We just try to help you get in and get connected. Okay. Then another percentage of our goal is to help individuals complete the FAFSA or some type of scholarship application. So you're like, where's the money at? So what do we do? Okay, let's look up scholarships for adult learners. Tons of them out there, different scholarship opportunities. So scholarship FAFSA, you may be somebody who, for example, sometimes people who have been in the penal system have trouble navigating financial aid, and we will basically help you to guide you through that process and give you some alternatives in case you might be ineligible for financial aid. Or if you're undocumented and you have some questions or your parents are undocumented and you're a dreamer and you live here, and with them or whatnot, you have questions about financial aid. So we have to help participants with that. So we help you with those scholarship and financial aid applications. And lastly, we help with the college or post-secondary applications. So when you come into one of our programs or you call us or talk to us, we'll say, okay, what's your situation? What are your goals? We'll assess your goals. And you may say, I just want to I want to be a plumber, right? Okay. Do you need to go to local community college to be a plumber? No, but you can go to a local trade school, vocational school to be able to do that. Because sometimes those careers net more money than actually getting a college degree. So, but we promote post-secondary education. So that is some type of education after high school. So if you've been out of school for 20, 25 years, a lot has changed. We can barely unmute ourselves sometimes. And so, so if you're like me and you might be technologically deficient, you need help with all these changes that are going on, and everything is electronic. You got things like DocuSign, and it's no longer, my mom says, I'm going down to the bank. And I said, Mom, you can call the bank. She said, no, I'm going down there to talk to somebody. And sometimes you want to talk to somebody. You might have to do it virtually, but you want somebody to sit with you and show you how to do that, because it can be challenging. So, we recognize that life is hard and life is difficult, and there's a lot of changes going on. So we help you with the college application, FAFSA, and also if you're trying to pursue your GED.
Okay. Oh, Oliver, you got something? Good, we're good? Lewis, take that home. You covered that?
Danella said she had a question.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Danella. Oh, you just muted yourself. Sorry. Look, he was just busting on y'all. You got yourself muted. You still got yourself muted. You got to unmute yourself.
Oh, you got to unmute. Oh, there we go.
There it is. There you go.
Am I unmuted? Yeah. You can hear?
Yeah.
Okay. It still looks muted, but okay. So some of the things that IRSC offers, as Lewis said, we're not allowed to recruit for specific schools. But as Lewis mentioned, IRSC has plumbing, has welding, has cosmetology, has the ability to provide certain services, culinary, folks who want to acquire certain licenses. There's the Promise program for young individuals who are graduating in 2022. I know this is for this particular webinar is for adult learners, but this is also free game, free information. Folks who are graduating this year who might not have a plan to move forward, who are turning 18, they can utilize the Promise program that IRSC is offering to pay for your first 2 years of college. If you step out, of your family's home and you want to, acquire some skills, their opportunity to come to IRSC and utilize career services, great tools that help identify what your skills are. Are you hands-on oriented? Are you science? Are you, interested in cutting hair or cosmetology of some sort? All of those programs are available at all of our schools. It's just a matter of reaching out, providing us some information regarding, your interests, your goals, and there has to be a real need, a real necessity on your part to want to do this, and we will help you with whatever you're looking to accomplish. We're very transparent about what can and can't be done, and sometimes what can't be done, we'll find ways to make sure that they can be done. We're very flexible and we're very into promoting and supporting the community.
So y'all mentioned like your specific supports. To recap, you'll help an adult learner complete an application, and we keep mentioning college, but just to be clear to everybody, we're not just talking about your traditional four-year universities. It's going to be a state college where you're going for a shorter certification or degree, or a technical vocational college. So they would help you with the college application process. And just with my experience, we're talking about FAFSA really from beginning to end, which can be overwhelming to people. So y'all would help provide supports for that. And then you mentioned, which I think is important, if I'm an adult learner who stopped out of high school and I didn't earn my degree and I need to get my GED, y'all help provide financial support towards that as well. And I'm guessing, but I would guess that that financial support not only goes towards paying for the test, but prep for the test, right? Okay, so let's say I'm an adult, and because this is the buzz right now, we're going to get into the buzzwords. Let's say I'm an adult and I'm not making the kind of money to help support my family, right? Like I stopped out of high school or I got my degree and I just hit the ground running, and I'm working 2-3 jobs just to, hit that $30,000-$40,000 mark, but I don't really know what I want to do. Do y'all provide supports in helping adults maybe explore what a passion or interest that they may have, so that when they're filling out or when they're trying to decide where to go, it kind of narrows that down for them? Speak on that.
Absolutely, Anthony. IRSC provides a 60-question survey in our career services department. It's an online 60 questions that provides you with more details of what your strengths, it's like a SWOT analysis, what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. We want to ensure that once we get the commitment from an individual to return to school, that we are doing our part as an institution or as the EOC program to ensure that folks are not wasting their time, not wasting their money. And those are the two valuable things that are in short commodity. We don't have time, we don't have time to waste, and we don't have money to waste. And folks want to be with their families as soon as possible. So the reality is, if we can offer a short-term certificate program that helps to fast track that person's income increase, that provides them an opportunity to step out of where they currently are and make more money, that's where we are. So we have that portal that asks those 60 questions that really acts as a funnel to create a space for them to understand what their strengths are. Am I good at welding? Would I be good for plumbing? Would I be good at HVAC? There's tons of money to be made in HVAC. Florida's hot, just saying. It's been cold, but usually it's about 80, 90, and people want to be cool. So HVAC degrees are very popular now, and The certification can be done in as short as a year, 6 months, 6 months to, I'm not sure on the time specifically, but it's a skill, it's a credential, and it's a certification that will put a few more dollars in your pocket on a monthly basis.
Ooh, Danella, you just hit us with the buzzword, credentials. Let's talk about that, right? Because that's what's hot right now is rapid credentials. So
Yes.
like, I like how Lewis said, you know, you might be 20 years removed from high school. Now you coming back and the world has changed, right? So one of the three of y'all or all of y'all kind of speak to that. Like, what's the difference between a rapid credential versus a certification program versus an actual degree program? What's the benefits of that? Y'all speak on that for everybody that's out there. Oliver, I see you want to talk. You got to unmute yourself, though.
You'll get this. We're going to get it.
We're going to get it.
You there?
I mean, we see him.
Yeah.
We see him working, but we can't hear nothing he's saying.
Okay, so.
Oh, you think we got to give it to you? Actually, maybe you got to give it to him. But Lewis, maybe you start speaking to it, like the difference between all of that. It's a lot of jargon.
We got double Dutch it. So yeah, so rapid credentials, again, like there are programs that are literally like 6 weeks long, or they might be a continuing education program that's you only have to take about 2 or 3 classes and you are certified in this particular skill. But then, you know, we have those larger programs that are certificate programs or trade programs. Like if you want to get your CDL, or if you want to get a cosmetology degree, you have to go through more intense training, and you still come out with some type of certification, but it is still it is a higher level certification per se because of what it will provide you the ability to do. And then we got, of course, our associate in science degrees, which is an actual degree that tends to be in a science of some sort or some type. Like, you know, there's such a strong demand for nurses, right? You can go to a community college and get an AS degree in nursing. You're an RN, you know, and so some choose to go in and get a bachelor's degree in nursing and master's degree. But if you want the basic credentials to be a nurse, then you just have to go to community college and get your associate in science degree to be able to do that. And then we have our associate arts degree, which will transfer to a 4-year college or university. And then bachelor's degree, and then thereon. So I spoke to a gentleman the other day that is going to speak to our students that went from a GED to a PhD. And this is after being in prison, having kids, being ill. I mean, he had the whole gamut, you know. And so I think there are tons of stories like that out there, people who have maybe had some setbacks in life, but that motivation and their drive is there, and they want something different. You know, they want something different. So I hope I answered that question correctly. But
yeah. I'm thinking, what are maybe like a handful of specific programs that we would consider rapid credentials, so that they know, you know, they might be thinking, oh, this is something maybe I could do. What are some specific programs that we would consider?
At IRSC, we have a 9-month CNA program. So that's kind of a rapid credential. There's also, if I can deviate for a second, there's some scholarship money and monies towards males who are pursuing unconventional certifications and degrees. If you want a male nurse, if they're looking to, you know, join the health field from that capacity, there are funds and scholarships that are geared towards men who or women who want to be welders. They're for unconventional or HVAC, you know, women who want to participate in HVAC. They're unconventional. There are scholarships for unconventional or you know, overlapping degrees or credentials that folks are interested in who are non-traditional.
Yeah, and also like if you want to do medical coding, or something of that sort. You know, there's certificate programs for that. That's like sometimes that's about that could be like a 6 or 7 week program depending on where you're at. So, you know, yeah, so that would be an example of a type of program that you might be looking at. That might be it is offered at a college or university that you can get in and get out, you know, in a matter of months.
Nice, nice. So like things like tell me if this is correct, because I want to make sure, because we're so deep in it, right? And we deal with this all the time, but there might be people on here that have like absolutely no clue. But things like maybe like automation, CDL, I think commercial truck driving is kind of considered that, right? Carpentry and roofing. Y'all mentioned electrical, welding. For those of y'all that are out there, I had a student go through our welding program down here. So it was a little over a year for him. And his first job placement was $86,000. And then I had another student go through it. He's doing underwater welding. My man, I bumped into him. He's at the tail end of his program, and he was talking to me about it. I was like, well, how much you gonna be making, man? He was like, Cook, I got a job set up for $106,000. And I was like, bruh, can I get into the program, please? Yeah. I need to quit my job, get into the program. Let me make my six. I can do it for 1 year. I think my body can hold up for 1 year, and then I can just, you know, retire, do something. But those rapid credentials, I think it's important for the adult learner, like you're talking about, right? Because they work for so long, knowing that there's programs out there that may take 8 weeks, 16 weeks, less than a year, and put you in a job where you could be making 40K. That's really important for our listeners, our viewers, those that are tuned in to know. That's why I wanted to ask that question, just to make sure that we communicate that to them properly, because we find out, Louis, like you said, 20-year gap, right? They're thinking traditional 4-year college, and it can be that way, but it doesn't have to be that way. There are programs that are compact that they can jump into and make a good bit of money, right?
And it may be like because of the gap in technology, you might need to take a computer literacy course, you know, because again, even if you're doing something technical, there a lot of stuff is machinery and stuff that you have to know how to operate, and a lot of things are operated by computers. So, you know, we're not fixing carburetors anymore. Okay, we're fixing cars that have computers, and that one little chip cost us $2,000. But I'm not bitter about that, you know. And so, so you know, computer technology is definitely one of those rapid certificate programs that people need to get into, especially if they have trouble with technology.
Bet. So on this same pathway, somebody dropped this in the chat. So I thought this would be good for maybe one of y'all to walk through this. They graduated high school 30 years ago, didn't go to college, and now they're interested in project management. Let's walk them through where they start. Like what's the process look like for them? Go ahead, Danella. Unless Oliver's live now. Oh, he just now muted himself again. Yeah, go ahead, Danella, take it.
Here's something with Teams saying his microphone is not working.
Oh, now Danella's muted. Boy, y'all getting this. Y'all need putting this work in right now.
It's fine. We're all a team, so whenever they can speak, we'll hear. Tell me, read that question one more time. I'm sorry, Anthony.
Yeah, so somebody in the chat said they graduated high school 30 years ago. They're interested in project management. Where do they start? Let's walk them through that. What does that look like for them?
Can anyone hear me? So as a project manager who acquired their certification last year, the process is you're required to have a high school diploma and 1,600 to 1,800 hours of study in order to sit for the exam. If you've done project management, you have to list a project that encompasses X amount of hours. What you do is apply to the Project Management Institute, and you become eligible to take the exam, to sit for the exam. They give you that information. You give a detailed description of what your last project looked like. If you've managed projects before, the test is a 3.5 hour test, 3 hours and 40 minutes, and it was 180 questions. So speaking as a brand new project manager, certified, that's been my experience. It's a grueling test. It's a grueling exam to sit for, but it can be done. And if that person, requires additional information, I'd be more than happy to speak to them about it. It's my passion, it's my love, and, project managers unite.
Ooh, I like that you had that experience. That I'm sure that helped. I'm going to shift gears and ask this. Y'all touched on this a little bit, but somebody asked this specifically, so I want to make sure that we answer this question. What are the steps for, they said, foreign people that graduated outside of the U.S.? So now let's say they're over, I was dealing with this today. We took some family members over to Valencia and they went on tour and talked to the team there. So let's say they got some stuff done in Venezuela. They moved here to the States. What does the college process look like for them? How does TRIO come alongside of them to get them into college and moving forward?
We hear you, Mrs. Depp? Yeah.
We're giving it to Lewis. Oh, Lewis spoke up first.
Well, Bill, let me get a short, the long and short of it. Unfortunately, it's not always as easy when transitioning and providing credentials from another outside of the United States. Whatever college or university, every college or university has a international student department, right? Some bigger than others, and some work harder to support international students than others do. But in the state of Florida, considering how diverse we are, you generally will find strong international programs at all of our state colleges and universities. So, and even at our private schools. So what they would do is they will assess your credentials at the high school, or your high school where you went to at your home country, comparison to what is required here in the United States. Now, how they do that, I don't know, but they do make those comparisons. Same thing with a college degree. Mm-hmm. I had 2 students, I taught a class at TCC. They were engineers in Africa, and they had to start over here in the United States. And I'm not saying that to deter you, but I consider that they're willing to do that. I think they're going to be engineers in the United States too. And so they're really to start back over and go, and they have that grit. You learn that term, grit, and determination. They're able to do that. But unfortunately, sometimes you may have a strong career in another country, but it has to meet the standard of whatever the United States says is the standard. Of course, that is different across the field, but generally, whether it's education or engineering or medicine, you may have to take a step back and get some more education here according to whatever the United States standards are. But that's where our international studies departments come in to help those individuals with navigating the process.
There are world there's a world, I can't, the name escapes me at the moment, but it's a credentialing office that assesses transcripts from high school or from different countries and provides, based on what your high school transcript says, it does like a side-by-side comparison to tell you what grade it would be equivalent to in the United States, or what class it would be equivalent to. And they try to do a side-by-side comparison to ensure whether your credentials are up to par or graduate level or undergrad or high school. And if it's a high school situation, they might encourage you to take the GED to obtain the credential here in the United States. As Lewis said, there's funding available with our TRIO programs to assist with GED. And I think the reacclimation into United States in terms of school would be helpful to get them on the path to attending college. Taking that GED, it's not an easy exam. There's several different parts of it. And it gives you a baseline of where you want to go, how you are potentially will grow and do in college. If the GED is a challenge for you, sometimes attaining that credential might be the thing that you need to get started. It's like I said, it's the base. So I would say bring all of your transcripts from your other country. We will find a way to match the credentials to see where we can help where you are and provide you with that baseline as to what's next. What are the next steps? What are your action items? Do you need to go back to your school in Venezuela and get them to provide you with a sealed transcript? So there's multiple ways of tackling these challenges. But as I said, as Lewis and Oliver would attest to, that we are here and we're open to assisting wherever we can. It's not a magic bullet. It's not going to be easy, especially with a situation like that. But we want to make sure that folks are not discouraged from applying or from trying.
So we have a participant that's all on this. For those of you that are out there that may be in this situation, I moved it over to our published Q&A so you can see it there. I didn't research it because I don't work at higher ed. I'm K-12, right? So I can't vet this, but it's there for y'all. They had said it's called NACES. And they talked about what the process looks like and even dropped the web source on there. So for those of you that are on here that are in that situation, check it out in the Q&A. It looks legit to me, but don't quote me on that. Don't come for me after this if it's not. But Sylvia came with some hard facts. So it looks like this hard facts. So we're going to go with that. Okay. The whole process is right there. Couple more questions, and then we're going to be closing out tonight. Speak a little bit on the difference between part-time and full-time. How many classes is that? And when we're talking about the traditional world, and can you be part-time working on a technical certification? Because we know that those are looked at a little bit differently. So can y'all speak to that? Oh, Oliver, man, bruh. I should have just gave you my number. You could just talk to me. I just get it out.
Yeah, me and Trevor. It's all right. I'm sorry, Mr. Steph. I know he's such a wealth of knowledge, and I know he wants us to hear. So he about to just type in some stuff in the chat just to answer the question anyway. But again, it depends on the program. Okay, so you can go part-time with anything pretty much. It's just you're obviously it's going to take you a little longer to finish. But sometimes some programs act in what we call cohorts, meaning that if you got part-time, let me go back. At a college or university, part-time in the fall and the spring, that's generally the fall is generally September, late August to December, mid-December. And the spring is generally January to early May, late April. And for our state colleges, they could be broken up into 6 and 8 week sessions as well. And so, but in general, a full-time load is considered to be 12 hours, right? In the state of Florida, at least, most places around the country, because you want the standards to match. So, and part-time would be considered anything below that. You have 3/4 time, stuff like that. But to qualify for certain financial aid, you must be going to school at least 6 credit hours. That's for the colleges and universities. Now, for our technical schools or whatnot, our certificate programs, a lot of times they have a certain timeline in which you need to finish. So that goes back into our previous slide, is assessing your situation to see if it's the right time for you. Because if they say you must be in class Monday through Thursday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. for 6 weeks, you got to follow whatever they're saying, because they have a certain standard that they're trying to meet. And while we get it, other people have different situations, family obligations. That's where you have to decide, okay, is this the right time for me to do it? Do I have the right support? Do I have childcare? Do I have the finances? And I believe divinely that there's a right time for everything, right? And so you don't want to rush it. You don't want to, because that'll only cause more stress for you. So again, it depends on the program, but at the college or university level, generally part-time is 6 hours and full-time is 12 hours or more, okay? I definitely discourage you from taking more than 15 credit hours at one time, okay? Especially if you have a job. These are so, because if you work 8 to 5, could you realistically be in class from 5:30 to 9 every night if you have family obligations? It again, depending on your supports, you might have all your family might live here in whatever city you're at, and you can send them to mom and them, and you send them there, and you got everybody working with you to try to help you get that degree. But there are many people in cases who don't have anybody in that city with them, and so they have to really think about, is this the right time for me to do this or whatnot? So that's just the reality of it. We don't sell what you call it, dreams of delusions and grandeur and stuff like that. You know, we give it to you real and give you a real assessment while offering hope to you, because if you're really committed, there are ways for things to get done. So yeah.
Now we have a couple of minutes left. Let me ask one that I know it kept coming up. So I'm going to ask it this way and try to cover it all. Now, you talked about FAFSA, you talked about scholarships. Are there any specific places people can either go to or look online to find scholarship money available to adult learners? We know FAFSA, I always say that's the first line of offense when we're trying to go back to school. So everybody get your FAFSA done. One of our members said that Florida left $300 million on the table last year by not getting their FAFSA done. So that's the first line of offense. So next to FAFSA, is there obviously y'all, an organization they can go to that would help them with it, but are there other organizations or maybe some web resources that we could refer them to?
I want to take that. I mean, there's always FastWeb, you know. There's FastWeb, which is that FastWeb was around when I was in school, so you know, it's probably evolved since that time. But when it comes to scholarships, let me just say that I'll let my colleagues talk. But when it comes to scholarships, you also need to look at the institution that you're trying to go to, you know, and see what they offer. Okay, there are early scholarship deadlines, you know, that are out there that are available for students. But we always tell people Google is our best friend, because you really don't want to go. I don't really refer students to the Target, the Walmart, the big scholarships, that a lot of people apply to, because those are so common. So you really need to think about what are my special gifts, and type in Google, and I guarantee you will find scholarships that are available for your specific skill. If you are a person with a disability, there are tons of resources. There's a Theodore Vivian Johnson scholarship that can give students up to $3,000 a semester for students with learning disabilities, not just physical disabilities. Of course, me also working with veterans here at FAMU, you need to assess what military benefits you might have out there. If you just moved to this state and you're not considered to be an in-state resident just yet, but you want to go back to school, your tuition and fees is you charge at the state level, the in-state tuition rate if you are a veteran. But if you are military dependent, meaning that your parents served in the military, you need to be talking with them about, okay, do they have any GI Bill money left? Because they might be holding on to it and they're not going to use it, and they need to give it to you. If your parent has a disability from service, they have the Florida Department of Education has the scholarship for children and spouses of deceased and disabled veterans. So you don't even have to be using a military benefit to get that. But if you fall into that category, the state of Florida will pay your tuition and fees for your education. So it's those little things that people don't think about that are out there, those little pockets that are out there. But at the end of the day, you know, Google will bring up a bunch of scholarships that are available for you, particularly if you have some type of skill or things like that, or you're from a particular county or whatever the case is. So.
And then, like I know Ms. Clark mentioned earlier too, like there's special programs that the Indian River State College has and that are out there. So somebody had asked that, and I said, I would encourage you to get in touch with your local TRIO Education Opportunity Center that might be able to help guide you through some specific resources, because we don't have that program in Osceola County, but obviously it's there, and counties may have some specific programs that are available for people that are adult learners and such. So we're at our time. I'm sure we could keep going, but we're gonna stop because people got children and they have other things that they got to get to. So we want to thank you three for getting on. Oliver, bruh, we got to do like a special service where we just have you on to like touch on some things to make up for, yes, brother, we got you. Thank you three. Thank y'all all for joining us tonight. We're going to sign off for this evening. We do want to encourage you to check out floridashines.org so that you can see what our other topics are for our College 101 series. We have a night specifically for seniors in financial aid, for our 8th graders and figuring out their career pathways, and for our underclassmen, 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th graders, and figuring out their pathways as well. So we want to encourage y'all to check it out. Register for those nights, whichever ones are applicable to you, and we'll see y'all this same time next week. Signing off for tonight. Bye, everybody.
Bye.